So in the previous session, we had discussed about the different types of directors in the offline class. So now we are going to discuss the next on the online class all about key managerial personals and their important functions. So KMP, that is key managerial personnel, who are they? According to section 2, subsection 51 of the Companies Act 2013, key managerial personnel in a company includes follows: Chief Executive Officer, managing director, MD, company secretary, CS, and the chief financial officer, CFO. As per the section 203 of the Companies Act 2013, that is in accordance with the company's appointment and remuneration of the managerial personnel rules 2014, every listed company and every other listed company having a paid up share capital of rupees 10 crores or more or shall have the whole time key managerial personnel. Now let us see them in detail. The first is Chief Executive Officer or the Managing Director. The Managing Director of the Chief Executive Officer is responsible for running the whole company. Also, he or she has authority over all the operations and the most power in a managerial hierarchy. He or she is responsible for innovations and the growth of the company to a larger scale. Next is Company Secretary. A company secretary is a senior level employee in a company who is responsible for the looking after the efficient administration of the company. The company secretary takes care of all the compliances with the statutory and the regulatory requirements. He or she shall ensure that the targets and the instructions of the board are successfully implemented. The detailed answer of the duties, rights, and liabilities of the company secretary will be dealt in the next coming sessions. Whole-time director. A whole-time director is simply a director who devotes the whole of his working hours to the company. He or she is different from the independent directors in the sense that he or she shall take the significant stake in the company and is part of the daily operation. He or she shall be a whole-time director too. Chief Financial Officer. He or she is a senior level executive responsible for handling the financial status of the company. He or she keeps tabs on cash flow operations, doing financial planning and creating contingency plans for possible financial crisis. Roles and responsibilities of the KMP. Growth and development of the company depends upon the effectiveness of the KMP's key managerial personnel at their jobs. As per section 170 of the Companies Act, the details about the securities held by the KMPs in the company or its holdings and subsidiaries must be disclosed and thus recorded in the registrar. Then KMPs should have the right to voice their opinion, especially in the meetings of the audit committee. However, they don't have any voting right. According to section 189 of the Companies Act 2013, KMPs should disclose their interest in other companies and associations at least within 30 days of the start of the employment period. Let us see about the company secretary's qualifications, duties, and powers in detail. The statutory qualifications of the company secretary. In case of a company having a paid up share capital of rupees 50 lakhs or more, the secretary must be a member of the ICSI, Institute of Company Secretaries of India, incorporated under the Companies Act 1956 and licensed under section 25 of the Act. A person is a member of the ICSL, that is Institute of Chartered Secretaries of London, shall also be eligible for the appointment of secretary of such company. In the case of any other company, one or more of the following qualifications should be possessed by the secretary. Qualifications specified in clause A above: a degree in law granted by an university, the membership of the ICAI, Institute of Chartered Accountants of India, membership of the ICWAI, Institute of Cost and Works Accountants of India, postgraduate degree or diploma in management granted by any university or the Indian Institute of Management, a postgraduate degree in commerce granted by any university, a diploma in company law granted by any Indian Law Institute. Other qualifications are knowledge of company law, knowledge of mercantile law, knowledge of economics, general knowledge, and the secretary must be smart, unbiased, and must have high IQ, presence of mind, and amiable personality too. Appointment of company secretary. The first secretary of a company is generally appointed by the promoters and its name shall be mentioned in the articles of association. If the first secretary is appointed subsequently, it has to be done by the board of directors by passing a special resolution in their meeting. The terms and conditions of the appointment should be mentioned in the resolution of the board meeting. A director may be appointed as a secretary too. Removal or dismissal of company secretary. On what grounds are they removed or dismissed? It is done mainly by giving a written notice on the expiry of the tenure of service or in such a matter as prescribed by the Articles of Association of the company. The secretary may be removed without any notice for the following misconduct activities: willful misconduct, willful disobedience to the order of the manner, negligence of the duty, permanent disability, and the moral turpitude. Role, functions, and duties of company secretary. The first category of the role or functions or duties are statutory functions or duties. Important question. There is signing of annual returns, registration of allotment returns, issuing share certificates, convening the annual general meeting, maintaining share registers, maintaining register of the directors. The second is non-statutory, which is not much important but optional. Non-statutory functions or duties. Functions related to directors. He or she shall ensure that the actions of the board of directors are strictly according to the provisions of the law. He or she helps the board of directors to formulate the policies and arrive at decisions. They should issue the notices and prepare the agenda in consultation with the chairman for the meeting of the board of directors. They can record the attendance of the directors, prepare the minutes of the board meeting, issue the orders and instructions of the board to the members of the staff, arrange for the payment of the directors' fees, maintain all the important correspondence, files, documents, and records of board office. Functions in relation to shareholders. He or she shall issue the share certificate, share warrants, and debentures, issue the allotment letters and letters of regret, issue the call letters, issue notices and agenda for the statutory meeting, annual general meeting, and extraordinary general meeting for the shareholders, maintain the minutes book of the shareholders meeting, maintain the share register and the share transfer register, maintain the proceedings of all the meetings. Functions in relation to the office and staff, exercise and overall supervision of all the clerical activities in the office. Legal and financial matters are also undertaken under the direct control. The secretary is a kingpin of the whole corporate machinery. It is the duty of the secretary to see that all the departments are properly coordinated, controlled, and supervised. Functions in relation to meetings. The functions of the secretary can be discussed under three important stages: functions before the meeting, functions at the meeting, and functions after the meeting. Functions of the secretary before the meeting are: fix up the date of the meeting in consultation with the chairman, prepare the agenda for the meeting, issue notices to the members entitled to attend the meeting, arrange for convening the meeting, append the proxy forms, send the notice of holding the AGM to the auditors of the company, draft and circulate the director's report, statutory report, and the chairman's speech. Functions of secretary at the meeting: record the attendance in the attendance register, distribute relevant papers and documents amongst the members, read out the notice of the meeting and minutes of the last meeting, read out the audit report, director's report, or any other report in the meeting, help the chairman in conducting the meeting smoothly, take notes of the proceedings of the meeting, draft the resolution. Functions after the meeting: as soon as the meeting is over, he or she should draft the proceedings of the meeting and get them signed by the chairman, should arrange to file the statutory report, annual returns along with the director's report and an audit report in case of annual general meeting with the registrar of the companies. In case, if any special resolution is adopted, a copy of such resolution should be filed with the registrar of the company, should execute the decisions of the meeting and send the press reports for publication. The secretary should make all the arrangements for the voting, and if necessary, should conduct the poll peacefully and the voting peacefully and efficiently too. Rights and liabilities of the company secretary. Rights of the company secretary includes as follows. As the head of the secretarial department, the secretary has the right to control, direct, and supervise the activities of the department. As the principal executive officer of the company secretary has a right to sign the documents requiring the authentication of the company. The secretary has a right to get remuneration from the company. As an officer of the company, he or she has a right to claim 2 months' salary as a preferential creditor at the time of winding up of the company. The secretary has a right to claim the damages and compensation when service is terminated before the expiry of his or her term as per the service contract. The secretary has the right to inspect the books maintained by the secretarial department at any time as and when he requires to. Liabilities of the company secretary, statutory liabilities, the first category. Under that we have, that is, the company secretary may be held for liable for following details: default in holding a statutory meeting and filing and circulating a statutory report to the registrar of the company and the members of the company; default in holding the AGM of the company; failure to give due notice of the board meetings; failure to record the minutes of the board and the general meetings; failure to maintain director members and debenture holders registers and index; failure in registering the resolutions and agreements which need to be registered; failure to make entries in the register of members on the issue of share warrants; default in filing with the registrar particulars of any change created by the company; failure to file with the registrar copies of the annual balance sheet, profit and loss account, annual return statements, certificates, and so on. And finally, we have failure in circulating the resolutions for which the members have been given notice. Now, failure in delivering the share certificates, debentures, etc., within 3 months of the date of allotment and within 2 months of the application for the registration of transfer of shares; failure in painting or fixing the name of the company outside every office and place of the business; non-compliance with the provisions of the Act relating to the appointment of auditors, audit of accounts, and auditor's report. The second and the last liabilities are contractual liabilities: disclosure of official secrets, then acts done beyond the limits of authority, acts of omission and commission in violation of the rules and fraud in course of employment, making breach of trust, and finally we have discharging the duties without reasonable care and skill. I hope it is very clear. Now, here we had been discussing all about the key manager personas and their important functions. Thank you. Have a nice day. Bye.